Last time, we discussed that a program is a set of instructions for a computer to follow or execute. When we have a programming problem, what do is we first come up with an algorithm which is our draft solution to the problem. And we define algorithm as a set of instructions that leads to a solution, and this is usually written in human or English language. And it is a finite set of instructions that specifies a sequence of operations to be carried out in order to solve a problem or accomplish a task. So an algorithm describes a step-by-step process, or it is a set of instructions on how to solve the problem or accomplish a task or perform a task. And it is usually written in, as mentioned already, any human language, but particularly English, the common human language. Then we go over it to check if it is working by doing manual paper and pen testing to check if indeed the algorithm works, meaning if it solves the problem or performs the tasks needed. After which, when we have tested already the algorithm and found that it is working, we rewrite it into a program by using a programming language which the computer can understand. And so, we define program this time as an algorithm that is expressed in a language that the computer can understand. So, what is similar about these two? What is similar about these two terms, algorithm and program? They are actually the same as describing a set of instructions, right? That leads to a solution of the problem or that performs a task or solve a problem. But the difference between algorithm and program is that algorithm is written in human language. Say for example, if the programmer, the one who writes the algorithm, is a Japanese, then most likely his algorithm is written in Japanese language. Or if the programmer is a German national, then he would most likely write the algorithm, the set of instructions to solve the problem in his native language, okay, the German language. And maybe if the programmer is an American, then he would write the algorithm using English language. So algorithms are written in human language because this is simply a draft, like a draft solution to the problem. Now, since the computer, okay, remember that it is the computer that executes the instructions to solve the problem or to perform the task. It is the computer that executes the instructions. Then the set of instructions that solves the problem or that accomplish the tasks must be written in a language that the computer can understand. Okay? So the computer cannot yet understand or execute the algorithm because the algorithm is written in human language and the language of the computer is not human language. The computer cannot understand human language and therefore it cannot perform the set of instructions in the algorithm. That is why we have to rewrite the algorithm, okay, using a programming language. Now, when that algorithm's set of instructions are already written in a programming language or using a programming language, then we call that set of instructions now a program. Now, let's have an example. Say our problem is to add two integers or get the sum of two integers. So how do we solve this programming problem? Our algorithm would be, first task to do to solve this problem is get the first integer. Okay, and then maybe you would say call it x. And then second would be get the second integer. And then maybe we say call it y. So the first integer is x and the second integer is y. And then the third would be, now that you have the two integers named x and y, then you would say add the two integers x and y and store the sum in variable z. So z now would be x plus y, right? And then number 4 is, now that you have the sum value, then we display it or output to the user the sum, which is z. So is this working? Yes, of course, okay? But this algorithm is not understood by the computer, and therefore we have to rewrite it using a programming language, because algorithm is written in English, human language. Now we have here another term which we call as the pseudocode. Pseudo means an alias, or it's not really a true code. It's called pseudocode because it is not exactly a code or a program. It is written in both human and programming language. Now remember, algorithm is written in human language, while pseudocode is written in both human and programming language. So pseudocode is just like algorithm. It is a set of instructions that solves a problem or accomplish a task. So again, algorithm and pseudocode are the same in the sense that they are both set of instructions that solves a problem or accomplish a task. But for algorithm, here's the difference now. It is written in human or English language, while pseudocode is written in both human and programming language. Say for example, let's take this algorithm, okay? Notice that we call this an algorithm, and that because all the instructions from number 1 to number 4 are written in English language. But if we're going to write a pseudocode version of that, say this is our pseudocode version of the same problem, the first instruction may be get the first integer x. The first instruction is in English language. And then the second is get the second integer is y. And then number 3 is, instead of saying add the two integers x and y, we will simply say z gets x plus y, and then we put a semicolon. Now this instruction, number 3, is an instruction using the C programming language or Java. Okay, so this is a programming language instruction. The meaning of this is that you add x and y, and the value of that, the result of adding, is assigned to variable z. And then we terminate the statement with a semicolon. Okay, that's how you do it using C or Java programming language. So number 3 is written in a programming language, while number 1 and number 2 are written using human or English language. And then number 4 maybe is print f z is equal to %d. Okay. So take note that number 3 and number 4 instructions are written in C programming language. Okay. So this is the built-in function in C programming language, printf, to display everything that is inside the double quotations. So whatever is inside the double quotation, that will be displayed on the monitor. While this one, this part here, is not displayed, but it is replaced by the value of z. This is what we call a conversion specification, where in place of that conversion specification, you display the value of variable z. Say if x is 3 and y is 5, then z is 8, and therefore the output on the monitor would be z is equal to 8. That's the output. So in place of that, the value of z is displayed. So notice that the first two instructions are written in English language, and the third and the fourth are written in C programming language. So we call this a pseudocode because the instructions are written in mixed languages, human and programming language. So it's called pseudocode because it's not a real code, because only these two parts here, these two instructions are in C programming language, while these first two, 1 and number 2, are still in English language. Now, the term input refers to the information or data or values that is or are given to the algorithm or program. And output is or are those values or data given by the program or algorithm to the user of the program. So say for example, in this problem, programming problem, to add two integers or get the sum of two integers, what are the input values needed? I hope you would answer that the input values to this problem are x and y. Okay, so we have two inputs, the first integer and the second integer. So we have two inputs. And for the output, we only have one, and that is z, okay, the sum. Now, data is simply referring to input to an algorithm or program, or any data that is available to an algorithm or program for processing. So in this algorithm or pseudocode, the data are x, y, and z. In these programming tasks, we have three data. These are x, y, and z. X and y are called input data, while z is called output data. Just like in mathematics, we always encounter this word variable. So a variable is simply a container whose value may change anywhere in the program. So when we rewrite this algorithm or this pseudocode using a programming language, we have now a program, okay? So the equivalent to this algorithm and pseudocode that is written in a programming language is called program. Since we have three data in this problem or in these tasks, we also will have three variables in the program. The first integer, the second integer, and the sum of the two integers x and y. So a variable is simply a container of a value.